I'm gonna let you listen to this idiotic person's contradiction about a game that she did a review on, and it's from IGN, which nobody takes seriously, but I just find it just stupidly retarded how they say things that don't even come to fruition, and on top of that, don't even mention that the game has a day one patch that could probably fix some of the things that she said. Unlike one of the reviews that mentioned pending this review that it has a day one patch that is required, so it can fix some of the problems that people were talking about. So I'm just gonna talk about a certain portions of what she was saying in the video that just clearly makes no sense and has no validity to it at all.
Days Gone loses its focus with repetitive missions, a thematically unsatisfying storyline, and an excess of bugs and busy work.
I'm not going to comment about the storyline too much because, I haven't beaten the game or got deep enough into it to, counter that point. But I will say the bugs and glitches, she fails to neglect that the game does require a day one patch that can fix a lot of these bugs and glitches that she seemed to be concerned about. Like other reviewers that mention it right away, this is pre-review of the day one patch. So a lot of these bugs and reoccurring issues that she mentioned, she fails to mention that the game will need a day one patch throughout the video. Not just that beginning part. If you watch the IGN review, you will notice throughout the video she doesn't mention a day one patch. Because, later in the video she goes on to say that it has pop-ins, which I haven't noticed at all. I should say not yet, by prefacing not yet, but as far as I've seen playing this game for a while, I haven't seen anything. You've seen the screenshot right there of that. So I just don't know why wouldn't you mention this, let the consumer know if you're making this review to bring that up, because that's pretty important, because it fixes bugs. All those patches that you saw the list of, it fixes bugs and other things that you may that she was saying in the game. So I just don't know why you would not mention that. Let's listen to more of her bullshit review of this game right now.
His bike is your constant companion, and it handles well and feels great to ride, especially after you bolt on some damage-absorbing upgrades and nitrous.
But then she'll go on to say that the bike ends up being her detriment. I'm paraphrasing that you're crashing and everything. And I guess your skills as driving must be terrible, because I don't see a problem with the mechanics of the driving the bike. It reminds me of Mad Max, where it's a little clunky at first, but while you're upgrading, and she did say upgrading, but the reason I'm saying this now, because later towards the video she'll end up saying that it needs to be it's a detriment, you end up crashing and everything. Like I said before, you upgrade the bike and then you can make the bike as steady as you want. It's like Mad Max. At first the driving controls seem a little bit off, but the more I kept upgrading the car and building it and making it the way I want, it drove better and the mechanics got better. So it's one of those type of games where the driving may seem a little clunky, but the more you upgrade it, the better it becomes, and you get more accustomed to driving it, and it's better version of the bike that you already had. So I just don't know why would you try to backhand a compliment later in the video by saying it becomes a detriment. That doesn't make any sense to me. Again, it's IGN.
For a game that's so centered on riding, it was essential that developer Sony Bend nail that fundamental mechanic. Sadly, Deacon's charisma and bitchin' bike aren't enough to carry the story, which Days Gone insists on telling largely through tedious, barely interactive flashbacks of him and his wife.
I haven't gotten deep enough to the story, to talk about it too much without spoiling it. I don't trust this at all when she says this, because it's too many things you say in the video that are good, and then you'll go back and say the very thing that you say that are good are a problem with the game. So, as far as I know, I'm not going to take this portion of you saying the story is inconsistent, or because you're gonna later in the video you're gonna hear her talk about a line that is cringeworthy, that is not cringeworthy at all to me. I'll let y'all listen to it, but I'm not going to take this little arbitrary quick little segment on the story as a review. It's a review. I don't feel like she hardly talked about the story. She just talked about more of the problems that she's trying to find or make up in the game. So let's continue this.
The dialogue's pretty bad.
But only if you promise to ride me as much as you ride your bike.
What was so cringeworthy about that line? And then she tries to depict this line as why the dialogue is cringeworthy in the game. For the rest of the game. That doesn't make any sense to use this. It wasn't even that bad of a line. It's just something a female biker said. I don't see any problem with it. It wasn't like I'm trying to find it. Where was it cringy? The way she's making a sexual innuendo towards him and the bike and her. So I don't understand why that makes it cringeworthy. This is why I don't trust her when she says something about the story, even though I haven't played through it yet. I'll mention it again so you can know. But listening to her and complaining about this line, then using this line as an indication of why the dialogue is so bad, even though the beginning portion of the game I had no problem with the dialogue, with the way they was telling that story in the beginning. I'm not going to delve into it because I don't want to spoil it for y'all. It just doesn't make any sense that the dialogue is bad when up to this point, I haven't gotten to that point in the game, that makes it bad when I haven't heard anything cringeworthy at all as far as I got in the game. So I just don't understand this. Just seems like another arbitrary statement to say something bad about the game that has no, again, validity to it at all. I just don't see how that's a bad line. Maybe in the comment section y'all can tell me, but again, this chick that reviews the game, I literally I don't get why she even has a job reviewing games if you're just going to say idiotic shit that doesn't make any sense.
But for the first half at least, the storyline forms a consistent emotional throughline and motivation for Deacon. However, it loses that direction in the second, which never gives us a reason to care about these new characters.
Didn't she say it had some interesting character and it mentioned Deacon's friend, and then now all of a sudden it goes back to being... You're going back and forth here. Either the game has interesting characters or it doesn't, or the story and it's repetitive and it's boring, but all of a sudden it has consistency. You can't have repetitive and consistency in the same sentence if you're going to say it's the same thing. That doesn't make any sense, you idiot. Either the story is repetitive or it's consistent on what it's trying to tell you in its narrative. I don't understand, how do you even come to that conclusion if you're going to say it's consistent for the first half and then it's repetitive, but you just said it's repetitive throughout. So that doesn't make any sense to me. Again, it's IGN. Shouldn't expect anything other than idiocy.
At least there are some enjoyable supporting characters. Deacon's primary relationship with his best buddy Boozer is heartfelt, and there's also some flavour to the world weariness of the older survivors.
Paraphrasing, either the characters are bland or they're interesting, or there's certain characters that are not. I mean, just pick a lane and stick with it, lady, because you're just sending mixed signals about the characters. Keep saying they're bland and they're not interesting, then you'll say characters like Deacon's friend, but only talk about one character. So just pick a lane and just stick with it.
While it's pretty enough at a glance, if you look closer, it's also relatively sparse, with little world building or environmental storytelling to differentiate one area from another.
You're in a forest. Are forests that much different from one another? I mean, environmental differences. I mean, it's a post-apocalyptic world. I don't think you're supposed to see a lot of different things. The humanity is gone to shit. People are psychopaths at that point, losing their minds. I don't think you would see, traffic, or I don't know what you're expecting in a bleak post-apocalyptic world where people are basically losing their sanity, resorting to the basic, most human nature as possible to survive. So I don't know what you're expecting. Maybe, people singing Kumbaya. I'm just being a condescending dick because, her review is just not making sense right now. And I don't know. Just, what do you want? You want skyscrapers in a post-apocalyptic world? What environmental differences do you want? How can you not tell the difference of where you're at? Are you just bad at not knowing where to go? Just stupid.
This was a world that was once lived in, we're told, but its uninspired interiors and barren exteriors certainly don't feel like it.
Oh my god, a once world that was lived in. It's a post-apocalyptic world. What the fuck do you want? I just don't understand that. That doesn't make any sense. It's supposed to not look like the world that you lived in. It's supposed to look like it's going to shit. God damn, I can't even really try to think that through because that was such a stupid part of the review. You guys can watch the video for yourself and see that what she was saying just didn't add up to what I've been playing and what others that are on my friends list and that I'm in a party chat with been saying about the game. And it's just like, what are you gaining out of this by having this imbecile chick just talk rhetoric and bullshit? It just doesn't make any type of sense. I just want to get y'all thoughts in the comment section about it because to me it makes no sense. None of the stuff she was saying is prevalent. You know, I'll go on saying that, you know, I haven't played the story to its full or halfway through to even make a counterpoint to her argument about the story. But just based on the inaccurate information that she's saying in the video, I got no other choice but to not take her for what she's saying about the story other than just bullshit that she's just spewing. So I want to get your thoughts on this idiot on IGN, and she's reviewed a couple games and just said bullshit as well. I just want to get what y'all think about the idiotic nonsense that she says in the video.